everyone, and welcome back to another episode with the Road to Glory podcast. I'm Juliet.
And I'm Cecilia, and in today's episode, we are gonna be discussing everything that happened this past weekend in Barcelona, in F3 and F2. And we had some exciting races, as we always do, I feel like.
We did, and it's the final weekend of this little triple header that we've had.
Yep.
So it's kind of like everyone putting their last effort in before they have a little bit of a break before their next race. So a lot of stuff happened, intense, and, Barcelona, crazy stuff always happens there.
Yeah, also the last time, at least for a while, we will be in Barcelona. So yeah, leaving the calendar, unfortunately. So
At least we're still keeping a Spanish race, because I'd be very
yeah,
upset. We're just getting the Madrid street circuit, I think.
yeah, the Mad Ring, like they had to
Yes.
name it that, of course.
Yeah.
Very
That's gonna
interesting to
be
see that.
funny.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, because they're gonna probably, if they keep the same order next year, they'll go like Mad Ring and then Red Bull Ring.
Oh God, they will have to do that. Like we have plenty of things to talk about, so I guess we
Yes.
should just get into it. Yeah, first up, obviously, I feel like we always have something we have to talk about before we actually get into actual stuff that happened in the weekend. Because once again, starting with F3, we have had some more driver changes already.
Yes, of course. We mentioned in our last episode on our Monaco debrief that James Headley had injured his wrist. He was driving for AIX. I mean, he was quite new for that seat. Luckily, the injury was not bad. So we had Jose Garfias replacing him for just this race weekend. Another AIX driver added into the
Yeah,
mix. I know
the
he's
count
not,
keeps going up.
yeah, he's not technically permanent, but I'm sure if anything happens, they'll probably bring him back since he's already been in the car. I wonder where they found him.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm not even sure they will bring him back because we've seen like multiple drivers just like, oh, we'll just put them in, never put them back in. Like, how have we had like three drivers that has been in the car but not permanently, and then we find a fourth different driver to be in the car? Like, how does that even happen?
They need to stop choosing people who have so many other commitments.
Yeah, true, because that was the issue with obviously Freddie Slater and Nikita Bedrin as well.
Yeah. So
But
we
good
had
for
him.
Jose. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. A good opportunity for him to show what
yeah,
he's made of and maybe get a permanent seat with AIX
yeah.
next year, although
He,
I wouldn't
he had
trust that.
no, and he had such bad luck, but we'll get on to that because
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him, honestly, on so many levels of bad luck. But yeah, obviously, good to see him staying in for James Hadley, as you said, only for this one weekend because James is expecting to like be back in the car for Red Bull Ring, be ready to race again. Thankfully for him, because obviously he was also a new AIX driver and only just got the seat in the beginning of the triple header, so literally only getting to do um, three races and then like, oh, I'm out with a hand injury. Must be the
Yeah.
most awful thing to happen. And then obviously that was not all for new drivers because obviously we were prepared for James Hadley to be replaced because of his hand injury. But out of nowhere, we have a new high-tech driver as well.
I just, I was so shocked when the news
Mm.
came out because I was like, I didn't think there was anything going on or wrong or had other commitments or whatever. And then suddenly you see the breaking news and we message each other. We're like, what is going on? Are they trying to be AIX?
Yeah, actually they just are. It's all like, oh, maybe we can just mix around a little bit, see what happens. Because also, obviously the new driver is called Jesse? And then his last name, I have no idea how to say it. Like for me, it's just a bunch of letters next to each other.
Where is he from now?
Like, this is so annoying because for those who are new to the podcast, we are not good at pronouncing driver names, and like adding in new drivers constantly, it's not helping us.
No, it's
Uh,
not. And new drivers with long
he's also
names, like,
Mexican. It's like the week
okay.
of the Mexican drivers. Uh,
Yeah. I feel like I'd butcher his surname if I even tried it.
Say maybe we'll just insert it like text form, like this is
Yeah.
his name. Make up that what you will. He's a new driver for high tech, but not only is he the new driver, he's only here for 2 races for some reason, like 2 race weekends. Uh,
Who were
so
they
who
bringing in
knows
there?
what? Yeah, like will we go back to the other driver that was there before? Will we try a new driver? Like they are just trying to imitate AIX at this point.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if another F3 team decided to do this because it seems to be a trend now.
Yeah, and we are not a fan of it, honestly. Also because like with F3, things are like very why do we do this? Because there's not really a clear reason. It's just like, oh, there you go. News, new driver. Okay, we'll roll with
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
feel like there has to be stuff that's going on behind the scenes, but they never give us any
Mm.
more information as an audience, so we're just constantly confused.
Yeah. The commentators are just like, yeah, and we have a new driver this week. Then okay, we're just supposed to be
Like,
fine with that.
why?
Yeah, where did the other one go? I hope that yeah, I don't even know what I hope. I hope maybe the driver that got replaced will come back. Like, who knows? Like, there could be many reasons why he's not there anymore. Obviously, racing is unfortunately such an expensive sport, so it could be
Yeah, it could be
funding
money.
issues. Yeah, it often comes down to that. But I guess we have to wait and see. Also, just like with this new driver, literally being confirmed for only 2 race weekends seems so weird.
So weird. I forgot, and then when I was watching, I saw on the side, and I was like, who is that? Like, I feel like I'm doing my job badly
Mm,
here. I have no idea who he is. And then I was like, oh,
oh,
forgot, because it was
mm,
so out of the blue that he
yeah.
came in high tech this weekend.
It does get confusing, but I guess we can move on to qualifying where more exciting stuff happened, obviously, because practice nothing happened. Like obviously it being Barcelona, all the teams and drivers have driven here so much, especially
Yeah,
in its testing and stuff. So like people just didn't
exactly.
bother to drive that much in practice. So straight into qualifying. What a surprise! Starting off by saying we got another Rafael CÂMARA pole. Like who saw that
Honestly,
coming? Yeah, it's such a great
I'm
achievement.
I'm so here for it. Get
Mm,
get him back on pole. Let's continue getting another
yeah.
streak.
Mm,
And I mean, he waited late to do his final flying lap. Everyone went out
yeah.
a little bit before him, and he still set the fastest time. So
Mm.
he knows.
Yeah, it really shows like that he has the confidence that he will be able to put the lap together by the end, and also like if something were to happen, so he didn't get to put in his final lap, he would still like have a decent banker already, like not starting way down because he had like a decent first lap. So he was over to the team like saying, I want to like go last so I have the best conditions possible. So that really shows a great amount of confidence from a rookie driver, but also rightly so, because he's very much like the manifestation of the Rafa dominance will bore fans, but never us. Like, literally.
And I mean, fourth pole of the season is
Mm,
literally insane to think about.
yeah.
Sometimes we do get this dominance in F3, and at the moment, it seems like Rafa he's just like, just a tiny bit above everyone else. I'm sure others will
Mm,
catch up. Um, but he's just been so on it this entire season so far. I mean, let's ignore
yeah.
Monaco.
Mm,
That's Monaco's always kind of like a crazy thing,
yeah.
an outlier.
Mm.
But otherwise, it's just been so on top of it.
Yeah, as a rookie, Monaco is a tough one. Also, like if it's just it doesn't really click with you instantly, then it obviously fair that he didn't take pole position. And as you say, we have seen dominance in the past before in F3, but like I don't feel like at this level. Like he's literally like breaking records at the moment. It's
From
absolutely
the get
insane.
go,
Mm,
like on it from day one. And we will
yeah.
have to wait and see if he continues.
yeah, but so far things are going great for him. And we will also obviously get to the sprint race because
Yeah.
that wasn't great. But going back to qualifying still, we had a very unfortunate moment for one of the drivers, Nicolas Lacorte, I think you pronounce his name. Yeah, honestly, I don't think we have talked a lot about him this season, but maybe we should have because that
Yeah.
man has, like, as of qualifying, he went up to 11 penalty points in total for this year.
Yeah, and you are only allowed 12. So he's really living
Yeah,
life on the edge before
yeah,
potentially getting a race ban.
yeah,
Um,
which we will get on to. But
and
yeah,
he really, yeah, he decided to live life on the edge, and he got a 10-place grid penalty for making contact with the new AIX driver, Jose.
yeah,
Which, shame,
exactly.
man, he had such bad luck this
His
weekend.
bad luck starting and qualifying already. Like, I feel like he couldn't believe it, honestly, when he was over the radio. Like, this idiot just completely ran into me. Like, from the side as well. Uh, which is very unfortunate. And yeah, I don't really get what's going on with Nicola Lacorte because obviously he's an Alpine junior. You would expect kind of more from someone like that. Like, I'm sure he's a decent driver. Starting off the season by getting this many penalty points is very bad. And also, I will say, when I first saw the incident, it looked kind of weird because, like, they are literally just going down the straight, and then like water, like, it seemed like he kind of wasn't aware that Jose was there, but he was aware of it. So that's why the penalty was pretty severe because I thought it was
Yeah.
just like a silly mistake or something. So I thought like, okay, if I giving him 4 penalty points for this one incident, it felt like they just want to get rid of him. They just want to like
Yeah.
prove that you need to take a break, Nicola, now.
Yeah.
But reading through the FIA document, unfortunately for Nicola, he did admit that he did run into Jose out of frustration of being kept back by him because they were both on a build lap and he wanted to pass him, he couldn't pass him. So yeah, out of frustration and making little Max Verstappen might have to go into the side of you. Like, oh, technically, he didn't mean to go into the side of him. He just wanted to like close in on him, but still, it's such a silly mistake to like
It's,
getting frustrated and like wanting to push him, kind of not hitting him, but then
yeah.
misjudging it and actually hitting
Yeah.
him.
It's so dangerous. Which is
Yeah.
why he got 4 penalty points, because it's like you have to punish this type of behavior, you know? So I agree with the FIA for once in my life. I agree
Yeah,
with
for
them.
once. Yeah, also like, but still, that's also a point I want to make how the FIA are kind of rigged a lot of the time, because
Yeah.
obviously if we like look to F1, obviously it's not completely the same thing, but still, obviously coming from the race in F1,
Yeah.
Max going into the side of George, only getting I believe 3 penalty points, where it's like technically that's normally what you will get in Formula One probably, but also like why then in lower categories are we giving more for it? And also like thinking then,
Yeah.
did the stewards know that if they gave him 4 points, he would literally have a race ban for Canada? Because he would, because he's only 1 point away now. Like, is that reason?
Yeah,
I feel
they
like
probably
Loki
wanted,
is.
because they were probably being a bit nicer because it is Max Verstappen, so they were like, we can't give him 4 and let him be out.
And get him a race ban, literally as like fighting for the championship.
Yes.
Would be very bad. Which we will also get to in F2 because we have a similar situation there as well. Things are kicking off with penalty points and reckless driving at the moment, apparently. It's just a great time.
It's honestly been crazy this year. Like,
I agree. It really has been. But yeah, very unfortunate for Nicola, and we will get on to like we won't see him in Red Bull Ring, but the reason for that we will get on to him when we get to the feature race because I guess moving on to the sprint, we had Roman Belensky starting from pole position. There was also like a whole drama before the sprint with like his lap being deleted from the qualifying and then like getting reinstated. So like heart attacks for all Roman Belensky fans for
honestly,
nothing. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy because time gets deleted, and you're like, okay, that's it. Oh, it's back.
Yeah, exactly. And like when it's like, do I have pole or do I start way back for both races? Like that's such a big difference if you have the lap or not. So luckily it did get reinstated, but I'm not even sure how lucky it was because oh my god, that sprint race was cursed for the entire top four. I couldn't even believe what I was seeing during the first lap.
They did not want the top 4 to finish the race, let alone
No.
win or be on the podium.
No, they posted like the usual graphic on the F3 Instagram, Twitter and stuff, being like, who will win the sprint? And then like the top four drivers, like, nope, none of them. Yeah, literally cursed them. I feel like that graphic was cursed because we'll get on to what happened in the F3 race as well, with a very cursed graphic of the top four as well.
Oh,
But yeah, lap one, it was absolutely insane because obviously with the top three drivers, being obviously on reverse grid pole was Roman Belinsky, and then in second place, I believe it was Martinius Stenshorn, and then third, Tim Tramnitz. And you would think Tim Tramnitz, being the most experienced driver out of those, he would like be calm, collected, get cleanly through turn one. Nope. He didn't fancy that yesterday. He didn't. He like saw his moment to be like make a George Russell and like go on the outside and like take them all, but didn't turn out as planned. I don't think.
It did not work out, and
No.
instead took out all of those drivers. And they
Yeah,
were just
I feel so
in the
bad for
gravel.
Belinsky especially. Yeah, just he was done so dirty.
He had the worst weekend ever, like the worst weekend.
He literally.
It's one for him
It
to
was
forget
so
about.
bad. Yeah, after like such a great weekend in Monaco, being on the podium in the feature race and like being the quickest driver in his part of qualifying the universe, I was like, no, you've had enough now. We'll take a break with your luck and like we'll give you a lot of unlucky things going on. But yeah, so that was a complete chaos start. Obviously, that was the top three, pretty much out of the race from the beginning. But besides those three, starting in fourth place, I believe it was Tuka Taponen. And he had a very poor start. I don't know if he actually stalled or if it was just very slow off the line. But anyway, here comes the curse of Rafa CÂMARA's sprint races because he's just minding his own business, probably looking at other drivers, not looking ahead, straight in front of him, seeing Tuka is just still on the line. So rammed straight into the back of him. End of race.
I was watching the like stop, right? And I think they showed a replay and it's coming down and you can see them all going. And I just saw, I'm pretty sure, Rafa's front wing just boom, fly away.
Yeah, making an escape. Like, I'm done for the day.
He went into the back of Tuka Taponen, and it just the front wing. It can't survive that. So it left.
No, you know it's done from there.
Yeah, that's a race-ending experience. Race-ending accident. That's the word I'm looking for.
It could have been a very scary accident, but luckily, what's most important is that they're all okay.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
yeah. No, what do you want to say?
No, I was just saying, like, Rafa, he is still, like, leading the championship and doing so well, despite never really performing well in a sprint.
No, it's crazy, because usually you say, like, to win a championship, obviously you have to be consistent. At some points, he's, like, the most consistent driver, because obviously he's taking pole all the time, ending on the podium or winning all the feature races, pretty much besides Monaco. And then, like, sprint races, it's just nope. I'm not fancying it, but also I will say starting in 12th in pretty much all sprint races is very much like a chaotic place to be anyway.
It is.
So it's more likely he'll get involved in things from down there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I would like to see him starting to have some good sprint races because I am getting so nervous and stressed seeing him only perform well in the feature races because like if he wants to win the championship, we're already like halfway through the season. He needs all the points he can get, obviously, because like if he has one off weekend where he doesn't score, kind of like Monaco, things can close up so quickly.
Exactly. There are not many big point gaps, so he needs to be careful.
Moving on then, obviously from all the chaos, we had Noah Stromstad starting in fifth, going all the way up to second because he managed to stay out of everything happening in front of him, luckily. And as those who have listened or watched the podcast before, I'm rooting for Noah Stromstad. I'm waiting for that first win. I was so confident this will be it. Like we have said, it would be sooner rather than later. Like him in second, he was like, for a rookie, he's very good on his tires. So he was very much playing the long game of like keeping his tires in order, getting ready to attack at the end. So it would also be less likely he could get overtaken again, like from I believe it was even Dominguez that was leading the race. So like making sure when he went for the overtake, he would be able to keep the lead, hopefully. So 6 laps to go, starting to close in. It feels like, oh, on next lap, he'll get DRS and he will like be able to attack. And then cut to just Noah going extremely slowly and one of the VAR cars going straight into the gravel. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, did they just collide? How does this happen? Because we didn't see what had happened and just like straight into chaos.
No. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Panic.
Yeah, because in my mind, it was even Dominguez and Noah, something had happened between them, but it wasn't, thankfully for Ivan, obviously, because he went on to win the race. But it was really just a technical issue for Noah, forcing him to like go very slowly back into the pits, and then it had been Santiago Ramos behind him, the other VAR driver, that just obviously got surprised by Noah going as slowly as he was, so he just completely went straight into the gravel. I don't know, to not hit Noah, I assume, like getting like confused or panicked of what was happening. So luckily, like he was able to continue on, but it was a very chaotic moment before we saw the replay.
Yes. And unfortunately, Noah had to do like the walk of shame, going slowly into the pits to retire, which is never what you want to see when you're literally fighting for the win. But it's nothing. It's not his fault, you know. It wasn't a driver error or anything like that. So we will get that win. I know.
Yeah, I need it so badly. I'm sure he does too. But oh God, just like being so confident, and I'm sure he was as well, that if he can it just gave flashbacks to the last time we were so close to the win, being like if I just get a couple of more laps, he will win the race. This time it wasn't because they ran out of laps, it was just because his car didn't want to go further. It was like, no, I'm done for the day.
And you know what else happened?
No, what happened?
Something that we honestly have talked about before, and I think we're on to something. I think there is some fault in this F3 car, because why do wheels like to just leave?
Yeah, we literally talked about it in Imola, we talked about it in Monaco, and like last week's episode about Monaco, I was like, we need some smart people to look into this, because we are not like mechanics. But ever since we've gotten this new F3 car, for some reason, the wheel nuts just love to come flying off like 20 laps into the race, and like, I'm done. And like, obviously we're used to seeing tires flying off sometimes in feeder series, but it's usually in F2 where we've had a pit stop and they haven't secured the wheel nut. How do you explain wheel nuts just randomly flying off 20 laps into the race? Like, how does that happen?
It's literally insane. Yeah. And our newest victim was our new AIX driver, Jose. Yeah. And I'm like, this man is so cursed for this whole weekend.
Literally, I feel so bad for him.
That you're on literally, I think it was like one of the final laps, and his wheels like,
yeah, just literally flying off. Like, and it makes no sense. Like, obviously, it wasn't like he was on for a great result, but just finishing his first F3 race, I'm sure he would have loved to. And instead, it's not a great start when your tire just decides it doesn't want to finish the race with you. That makes life pretty difficult.
It does. It's race ending.
Yeah, and it was literally like on the final lap. It's like very much with Rafael CÂMARA, what had happened to him in Monaco, like on one of the final laps as well, where it's just like, could you just hold on for like one more lap? That was all we were asking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it because obviously there's some issue with the wheel nuts not wanting to be tight enough, I would assume. But then it's again like, how do you race for 20 laps before this happening? Something they
I
should look
don't.
into for sure.
Yeah, because it wasn't like he hit a curb weirdly or anything really like that. He just took the corner. He decided to fly off.
Yeah, and that will not be the end of his bad luck either. But we will
Nope.
get to that because obviously, if we have to finish off the sprint race, obviously we had
Yeah.
Ivan Dominguez winning. I believe he was the first Portuguese driver to win an F3 race.
That's really
So
impressive.
yeah, good for him and his nation. And yeah, obviously VAR won too because we had Santiago Ramos finishing second after Noah unfortunately DNF'd. And then Nicolas Solo also charging through the field to get a P3.
Yep, it was a good race for Nicola with back-to-back podiums, and really good for his championship fight.
For sure. Also, like, we've talked about this before, but it does appear to be his final year in F3, now running on his third year. So now is the time, like, if he wants to win the championship. As said, we are halfway through, so it'll be interesting to see how the championship evolves. But talking about Solov, he did not have the dream start in the feature race. Like, that was not the championship winning start he had, unfortunately.
No, he had such a bad start, and by like the first corner, he dropped from right at the front to 8th place.
It was so bad. And the commentators were like so excited, like building up this story. Like, we have first and second in the championship, starting both on the front row, first and second, like epic battle incoming. And then Nicolas said, no, I'll go back. I'll make it harder for myself. Prove my worth
Exactly.
here.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has to like really deserve it.
Yeah, so that was very unfortunate for him, but at least it was a cleaner start than we had the day before, so that's something. Honestly, just in general, the feature race, I don't feel like as much was going on because with Barcelona, maybe that's a good thing about getting rid of the track, you could say, is that often it just gets into being a DRS train where people can't really pass each other and not much is happening, honestly.
Yeah, well, unfortunate for Roman Belinsky and
Yeah.
Jose. They
Again, Jose, he just wanted us to mention him like in every single part of this episode. Unfortunately for bad stuff, which was none of his fault. But yeah.
He wants to be remembered. I feel like he's been a victim in everything.
He has of everyone and everything, like wheels, drivers, everything.
Because Roman crashes into him, which brings out a safety car as well. So Roman did get a 10-second penalty, which is converted into a 5-place grid drop, which he will serve at the next race. Because he didn't finish the race, so he can't get it deducted.
I'm sure that Jose just can't believe his luck. Like, knowing you get this one weekend to show your worth, and then everything and everyone goes against you, literally. Like, what more could have gone wrong at this point?
No, literally. It was awful.
Yeah, so an unfortunate incident between those two. But yeah, those things just happen, unfortunately, and there's not much you can do. You could have hoped that Jose could bounce back, but obviously he won't be in the car if James ready for Red Bull rings.
Exactly. I think the only other really moment that we got was Nicola Lacorte, who drove into the back of Brando Ballour. It was very unfortunate.
Yeah. As we mentioned, after qualifying, he was up on 11 penalty points, and we are all like, if you're already up on 11, there's no way he's not getting a race ban, because if anyone are kind of new to feeder series, obviously in F1, it's very unlikely people will get a race ban. Like, seeing Kevin Magnussen getting one last year, people were like, oh, it's never going to happen, until it did. But it is pretty usual in F3 and F2 that some drivers will actually get race bans throughout the season. So, yeah, another incident for him crashing up in the back of Brando Betterware, and like just Prema just having a hard time at the moment, and didn't help getting crashed into by Lecorte for sure. I still can't get over the fact that Prema are dead last in the championship. I feel so bad as a Prema girly.
Honestly, I had such high hopes for Prema this year, like such high
Same.
hopes. And their driver lineup was so hyped as well. I've literally not seen anything from Ugo Ugochukwu. Like,
No.
I thought he would be like a rougher CＡMARA in this championship. I thought that would be him. I was so sure, and like he's barely scoring points.
Yeah, they are just completely off the pace of Prema, and obviously with there being very talented drivers like Ugo Ugochukwu, you would expect maybe it's just something that's not gelling between obviously the drivers, the car, the team. This is something that they haven't unlocked from this new F3 car at Prema, and it very much like gives more flashbacks to F2 with the new car Prema had to deal with last year in F2. Where it didn't go well either, but at least they found the pace throughout the season, so you can hope the same will happen in F3, but it's just so wrong to see a team that's been so dominant for so many seasons being like literally at the back of the field.
Yeah, it's surprising, and I really hope they get back on it again. But in more positive news, Rafa got his 3rd win and extended his championship lead to 26 points, which, I mean, it's not a lot, but it also is a bigger margin, especially that we have now in like F2. So he is really, really dominating.
Yeah, it's a more comfortable lead for sure, and then we'll also get into how different the F3 championship is from the F2 championship, because in F3 it's just complete dominance from Rafa, winning most of the races, ending up on the podium when he's not, taking pole positions, all that stuff, but in F2 it's a different story. But before we move on to that, I will say some funny moments from the feature race was not really what went on track. It was more so like what went on at the race control room with the stewards, because were they having heat strokes in there is my first question.
Or were they just looking at a different race than we were watching? Maybe they were watching the race from last year. I don't know.
I think so. Because, but those who don't know, because it wasn't covered during the race for obvious reasons. But after the race, we found out that Jesse, the name we can't pronounce, the new high-tech driver, has, after the race, received a 10-second stop-and-go penalty, which has then been converted to a 30-second time penalty, because obviously he was not able to serve it during the race, for being out of position at the safety car line for the Barcelona F3 feature race. And that is something. Then we think, okay, but why? Why now? The bad thing is that this penalty was incorrectly given to and served by Nicola Mariangeli. How do you give a severe penalty like this to the wrong driver, who's not even in the same team? You can't even confuse the two drivers. How did this happen?
Nicola was like, okay, I have to serve this thing. I don't remember doing it, but you know what? The stewards, they see everything. They watch, so they must know what's right. No, this poor man served such a harsh penalty for absolutely no reason. And it's not like the FIA will give him anything. All they'll say is like an apology. Like, sorry.
Yeah,
that's all they'll
literally. Like, this is the same as, like, going to prison for a crime you didn't commit. Like, this is so that, because what do you mean that he served the penalty that wasn't even his? Like, it's absolutely insane from the race stewards. Like, that is just not supposed to be able to happen. I have never seen something like this happen, honestly. I would like to know if something like this has happened in the past, but I do not get it.
No, it's literally insane, and I feel so bad for Nicola Mariangeli.
I really feel bad for him. Another person I feel bad for, I actually don't know if you have seen this, because this is one of the things I haven't sent to you, but another thing going on at the race stewards room thing was that Rafael CÂMARA had been summoned to the stewards after the race. And the reason was due to a member of his team allegedly wearing short trousers in the pit lane. Like, how do
So
you get someone
unserious.
to the stewards? Yeah, for like one of your team members not wearing long pants. Like, what do you mean?
That's actually very like interesting to know that you have to wear long pants if you're in the pit
Yeah,
lane.
I'm sure it's a safety thing and I'm sure it's serious. But Rafa being like summoned for it, could we have sent someone from the team instead? I
Exactly.
don't know.
Why not summon someone from Trident? Why summon the driver? Rafa's probably
Yeah,
like, I'm not responsible for what this man wears.
no. I want to have seen like the steward's room being like, yeah, so one of your mechanics or somebody were wearing short trousers, so like what? How does that conversation
Explain
go?
why.
Yeah, exactly. Did you not dress all your mechanics and people in your crew before the race?
I could
Like,
just see like Rafa like handing out like clothing and being like, you have to wear
yeah,
this. I'm gonna put you in red trousers today. You get
yeah,
purple. You get white.
literally. Oh, we have to do that moving on forward, apparently. Otherwise, he'll be sent to the steward's room again. Thankfully,
Exactly.
no further investigation on it. Or, like, no further action.
So was he not wearing shorts, or were they like, okay, that's reasonable? He was hot.
Yeah, I'm like, they were like, oh, you get this one time, and if you do it again, we will get you a fine. So, like, no further
Yeah,
action this time.
yeah.
It was
Imagine he
just
was like
so
wearing
weird.
like 3/4 length, and they were like, do we
Yeah,
define this as shorts or as long
yeah.
trousers?
Imagine. I would have liked to see what on earth happened in that
Let's
conversation.
see the
But
outfit. Show me the outfit.
yeah, like actually imagine being Rafael CＡMARA literally winning the race. And, like, yeah, I have to go to the stewards. And then people being like, why? Well, one of my team members were wearing shorts, so I don't know. It's just
Oh,
so random. I
if we
can't.
if we ever like get to speak to Rafa, I need to ask him and be like, in Barcelona, what was the steward's room like when you were summoned
Yeah.
for a member of your team wearing shorts? How did you defend him?
Yeah, like we need all the details, Rafa. Like in-depth details.
The inside
Uh,
scoop.
yeah, exactly. What a crime, honestly. Again, obviously it must be something obviously safety wise that we don't know about, but it's just so random. Okay, I guess we can move on to finish off F3 section of this episode. Obviously, we had Rafa winning the race, but then in second we had Phil Nile, and in third Alessandro Giosti. So he had redemption from Monaco, where he had a bad start,
Yeah.
where he was supposed to be on the podium. So obviously, great race from them. Yeah, nothing much happened. I don't feel like deserved podium. We move on to F2 because we have madness there as well. Obviously, like
Yes,
always.
always. There's never a quiet day in F2.
No, and again, we have to start before any of the exciting sessions because we have to talk about practice and how you couldn't have written this. Like, you couldn't have come up with this scenario. Like, you really couldn't. So, obviously, after Monaco, there was the whole thing between Victor Martins and Alex Dunn. Alex crashing into Victor, them, yeah, losing the win the podium essentially in the first corner. You think, okay, we'll move on then from that. But no, Alex Dunn was obviously like practicing how to come into the pit lane during the race. So like at a quicker speed than maybe some of the other drivers were. And Victor Martins just minding his own business, being on his pit speed limiter, so like going slowly, just sees in his mirrors Dunn coming straight into the back of him. And like, how does this happen between these two drivers? Like, it could have been anyone else in the pit lane, but no, had to be Victor that Alex crashed
You
into.
can't write this. Like, this is so random. I think we just need to separate these two. Like, there need to be many drivers between them from now on forever. Because,
Yeah, it's not
like,
safe.
how does this keep happening? It's like there's two magnets in these two cars, and they just want to get crashed into each other.
Yeah, it will be interesting to like follow throughout the season if they have more incidents between each other. Because I know a lot of people were split on how this incident should have been judged. Some people were feeling like Victor was going really slowly, so caught Alex out. But obviously it did end up with Alex gaining a 3-place grid drop on top of his 10th place for the sprint, which meant he had 13-place grid drop for the sprint and then a 3-place grid drop for the feature race. But yeah, I am on the side that Alex had to get some kind of punishment, because this is just too much going on with him in too short a space of time. Like, something has to happen for him to realize that maybe he has to chill a bit. Like, obviously this was not purposefully done, but it's still a mistake either way.
Yeah, I just I feel like sometimes we see this type of driving in other series as well. Even in F1, you still get this really aggressive driving that just like, it's just harming your championship content. Like, you're just gonna lose points because you're going to get penalized for this, because you're not racing within the guidelines. And you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get an advantage from this, but it never ends up working. So he just needs to chill a little bit, because he's so talented and he really could win this championship, but he just needs to be a little bit more cool and not so hot-headed.
No, and obviously he got the 3-place grid drop, but more significantly, he did get 2 penalty points as well, which means he's up on 8 penalty points now, and we're literally only like, under halfway through or something.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Wait.
What?
What if he got a race ban and they brought Christian Mansell in?
That will literally, like, they would have to do that, honestly. Like, that has to happen. If he, like, get a race ban, get Christian in. Because he was supposed to drive for Roden anyway, so why not?
Exactly. And
That's
he
genius.
drove a bit last year for Trident in F2 already, so it's not like he's coming in with no knowledge. So if that happens, please, Roden, please go Christian up. Like, I know he's not really racing this year, but I feel like he'd be available if you wanted. Imagine we could see Christian at Silverstone. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
but
a big
that could
Christian
happen. Yeah, obviously we don't hope that Alex actually get a race ban, but if it were to happen, which is saying what options could there be, Roden, please take notes.
Yeah. Sorry, I deviated.
No, but it's fine. But what I want to say with the penalty points is, as we said in F3, we are used to seeing drivers get race bans occasionally. The problem here is not like the championship leader. Like, what happens if like he gets a race ban like that? Not only having a bad weekend and like crashing into people, literally having to not be there for a whole weekend would be absolutely crazy when you are a talented enough driver to literally be challenging for the championship.
Because even if you score no points because you have a bad race, at least you get like experience. But from completely not driving for a whole weekend would be so bad for him.
Yeah, and obviously it's only a 4-point buffer that he has right now. And as we have seen in F3, Lacorte got a 4-point four penalty points for just one incident. So that could very much happen. Like, there's still a lot of races to go, and it's also like,
That's a lot.
yeah, and if Alex doesn't like start to be more careful, either like he will get a race ban, but also on the other side of that, he can drive too carefully and not be. The other drivers will know that he can't risk as much, and then like take advantage of that.
Exactly. It's a bad situation for him to be in, and I hope he learns from it. I've said this a couple times, but I hope he now does.
Yeah, because if he wants to win this championship, which I do think he has the talent to be able to do, please do not get more penalty points. Please stop crashing into people and actually maybe have a clean race weekend for once. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah, but I guess that was like the main thing that happened during practice. So we can move into qualifying, which I will start off by saying obviously with what I said about F3, we have very different championships in F3 and F2 this year. F3 being so dominant. What do you mean? In F2, we have had 6 different pole sitters for the 6 race weekends we've had so far. Like, that's crazy.
Honestly, it is so close in F2 at the moment. Like, anyone can win the championship in the top 10 pretty much. Like, it's all to play for. And this weekend, it was Arvid Lindblad to take pole. He just was so on it. And I mean, I guess maybe they did have practice, so because he is a rookie. But
yeah, it's a track he's used to as well.
Yeah, the circuit seemed to gel with him. I'm gonna say it now. He will be in F1 next year. I'm just gonna say it.
Honestly, I feel like it's something we talked about already in the beginning of the year, that he would be the most likely person to have potentially one of the Racing Bulls seat. So, like, we don't know what happened with that. We know Red Bull and thereby Racing Bulls are kind of crazy with their decisions on who gets to drive for them. So literally anything can happen. And right now it seems very likely that Arvid will be taking one of the seats, wherever that might be. So we'll be looking forward to that. Also, like, just with this weekend, he has had obviously starting from pole in the future race. Like, he has bumped himself so highly up in the championship. So if he can, like, keep this momentum, things will be looking great for him. But I'm also scared that we will get, like, a complete off the cliff of Arvid's performance like we had in F3 last year, where he was also a contender for the championship as a rookie. But then he just, like, got scored no points in, like, the final part of the season. So, like, hopefully that won't happen again.
Agreed.
Fingers crossed for Arvid. We want to see him perform well. Yeah, moving on to other things that happened in qualifying. Alex Dunn did qualify well in 5th, but with all the penalties, he will, like, start from Monaco, pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, obviously still a decent qualifying. I feel like the only really big surprise was that Sebastian Montoya performed very well again. Like, he has very much found some form in the Prema car, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's still not the OG Prema livery.
No.
But he has had a very good weekend with that car. I mean, let's not talk about the sprint. No. In the feature race, he had a better weekend.
Yeah. Ignoring the sprint.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of things going for him right now, because for those who don't know, he also just got, it got revealed that he's a part of Alonso's management team now. So that's a big move for him, I'm sure.
It is. And it's good, because if you look at Gabriel Bortoleto, who was also part of the management, who won the championship last year and got a seat in F1. We have Pepe Marti, also part of Alonso's management. I'm forgetting someone, but I'm pretty sure Chloe Chambers is as well.
Yeah, that could be likely. I feel like I'm not completely sure, but I think so.
Yeah, there's somebody in F1 Academy I know there's a couple of them, I think. But it's a very good place to be, so very exciting for Spurs.
Yeah, so things are looking good for him. And then a driver that was surprising, not because he performed well, but because he had his first bad qualifying, was Victor Martins. Like, his streak of qualifying second ended this weekend, sadly. Rest in peace.
Very unfortunate for him. But I'm sure he'll get it back.
Yeah, honestly, I just feel like this was kind of an off weekend for him, because obviously he had his FP1 session for Williams before qualifying, and we see often that the drivers that stand in FP1 are struggling to, like, go back into the F2 car, with, like, being so different cars, obviously, so not being able to extract the performance of the F2 car coming straight from an F1 car, essentially.
Exactly.
But I guess we can move on to the sprint, because that was chaos, just pure chaos. Like, the most boring race for, like, most of the laps. I was about to fall asleep, literally, and then all chaos ensued. Yeah,
well, I mean, Luke had a great start, which was really good for him.
Yeah.
Richard had quite a bad start.
Yeah, he dropped down pretty badly.
He dropped down quite a bit. And You know, sometimes with F2 races, you think nothing's gonna happen.
No.
Suddenly a safety car gets brought out and everything can change.
Yeah, and that was very much what happened, because for the most part of the race, it was just very much like SNF3, kind of just a DRS train, very dull race. And then, obviously, first up, we have for sure and Lindblad coming together, not too seriously, like that didn't cause a safety car or anything,
No.
but still a controversial moment.
Yes.
But obviously, for sure, kind of pushing Lindblad off the track, which made him spin out, essentially. Um,
Yeah.
but then, that's not the big moment, because then Minnie and Montoya decided we don't want to go through this corner together. We want to take each other out, essentially.
Yeah. As teammates, part of the same team,
Mm,
is
yeah.
never what you want to see, especially Prema,
No.
who have not had the greatest year. They've been okay,
No.
but they really haven't been on top form yet. They still have not
No.
recovered completely. And then you just have their two drivers taking each other out. I mean, it was
Yeah.
very lucky for Sebastian because he actually got going again and he did continue. But Minnie could not, so it brought out a safety car.
Yeah, and also gave Montoya a 5-second penalty, so like it wasn't deemed to be like 100% his fault, but it was more on his side than Minnie's.
Yeah.
And just like Minnie's race engineer Pedro, for those who don't know, I love him. He's like my favorite Prema person. Just being over the radio, like guys, like I felt with him, just like seeing the two drivers coming together. Like this is not what we want, guys. I feel like that was what was going through his mind. So obviously, also being Minnie's race engineer, it's very unfortunate on his side.
Yeah. And I mean, we're at Barcelona, which is it's difficult on these cars' tires for management. Then you get a safety car, and all of the back markers are like, I'm gonna pit for some softs. Because there's no reason to lose. Like, we have quite a couple laps left that we can make up our positions back. And boy, did they. My word.
Yes. Absolute madness, because obviously in a sprint race we usually don't have a pit stop, but with the safety car, pretty much every driver that was outside of the top 8, I believe, like in the non-scoring positions, were like, we have nothing to lose, we're gonna gamble on putting on the set of softs. And oh my god, if we want overtaking in Barcelona, put people on completely different tires, because the grip level was like the difference between the grips between like the old hard tires and the brand new soft was like seeing two different categories racing against each other. It was insane.
You can't even compare. Like, they were just, the people who own softs were just overtaking left and right, and in places that the other drivers just can't because their tires are just not working as well. So it was very lucky for all of those drivers. And it was great for specifically Richard and Alex as well.
Alex had an insane race. Like the universe was like, you started 19th. Let's make this a fun race for you, because going from 19th to second. Also, like obviously for sure, he was actually lucky that he had a bad start, because had he been up in the top positions, he would not have fitted. So like actually being one of the drivers changed tires. Obviously he won the race. We did question if he would keep it because of its little moment with Arvid, but for some reason no action on that, so he got to keep his win. Good for him. But yeah, obviously Alex done second, and then out of nowhere, Rafael Villagomez going from like, what position was it even? Like, it was absolutely crazy. I don't know. He went right from the back. I believe it was actually like 22nd place or something to third on the podium.
And getting his first podium in F2. Like, that's insane.
It's insane. Yeah, we saw like a shot of John Bennett, who had like retired at the start of the race on the pit wall. He was very much being like, that could have been me. Like, we could have a John Bennett podium if things had gone differently, because obviously Villa Gomez was his teammate, so insane things happening at the end of that race, honestly.
I think that's kind of it for the sprint.
Yeah, we have yapped for too long, so we'll try to like quickly go through the feature race, because I also feel like not too much happened other than a couple of messy moments between drivers, which is like usual F2 things. Because first thing I want to mention for the feature race is that Montoya didn't stall on the formation lap for the first time in like 3 weekends. Let's go, Sebastian Montoya. Well done.
Yeah,
You
he
got
was
off
like,
the line.
I'll finally end my triple header with a good lap to start the race. I will be
Exactly.
fine.
That was very important for him because essentially, I don't even remember what the top three was, but obviously at least the top two was the same as they qualified. Why can I not remember how they qualified?
Yeah, so we
Hold
had
on.
Arvid finishing in first and getting his win. And
Yeah,
then
dominant
Sebastian
win for sure.
Montoya in P2 and Richard in P3.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can see it was Kushmaini that had a horrible start this time because there's always someone that just has to drop back because he started at P3 and he had like a horrible race. Yeah, honestly, I will say that the most important part of the feature race was that some of the drivers that started on the alternative strategy did get robbed right by the end because I am so confident that Crawford would have ended up on the podium and potentially even Alex Dunn, honestly, because they were charging on the soft tire by the end. And so unfortunate the race ended behind the safety car, robbing them of that chance.
I mean, it was like really not the greatest weekend for Jack, but he was like almost always there. So I think it's one for him to just take on the chin and come back better for the next race because he clearly has the pace and he's doing really well. Like he's tied P5 with Luke in the championship at the end of this. So he's really within a shot because going into this, we had Luke leading the championship and now he's P5.
Yeah.
That just shows you how close everything is.
Things can change insanely quickly in F2 because looking at the driver's standings, obviously we have Alex Dunn back in the lead of the championship, but he's literally only leading by 3 points to Richard for sure, and then obviously with Arvid jumping up to third as well, also only being less than 10 points. Like, is it 8 points between Arvid and Alex? So literally nothing is done. Like everyone in the top 10 pretty much still has a shot at the championship potentially.
Exactly. So like nothing has been lost yet.
No.
But we will see F2 and F3 back at Red Bull Ring in Spielberg on the 27th of June, so a little bit later in this month. But don't you fret. We have F1 Academy coming back, not next weekend, unfortunately. Well, we're having a little break from racing. Yeah. We will still be getting an episode out. But then we have Montreal coming up with F1 Academy, which will be very interesting because we actually have 3 races there because of the race that got cancelled in Miami.
Yeah, so we will have plenty of stuff to talk about that, and yeah, as you say, we will make sure to still get our weekly episode up next week as well, even though we don't have a race to talk about. I'm sure we'll come up with something exciting to talk about, but yeah, I'm sure Canada, when we get there, will be great in F1 Academy, because that championship is insane as well.
Exactly.
And very close. So I guess that was it for this week's episode, and obviously, if you don't already, please go to our link down below where you will find it somewhere. If you're on YouTube, it will at least be down there. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter for all amazing content that we put out. You're honestly missing out if you're not following us on all our platforms yet.
I promise we're very funny.
Yeah, actually, and we will be going to Silverstone in like actually just a month from now. So getting great content from there, hopefully. Very excited for that. You won't want to miss that.
So thank you so much for tuning in this week. Please come back again, because as we said, we will be back with content every single week. But thank you for listening to us yap for a while here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.